at you all the way from our dorm rooms to your conference rooms. Saba, Ali, and Dan Tiemann here, two college students who are ready to talk to you guys about business and lifestyle from our personal experiences.
Each week we'll discuss about our lifestyle as college students as well as our tips and strategies starting in the business field. We'll bring on successful entrepreneurs in the millennial generation to share with us their journey and how they got started and where they're at now.
Our goal is to help you students, millennials, and entrepreneurs gain inspirational advice via our spontaneous conversations and meaningful guidance. Let's dive on in.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 38 of Dorm Rooms and Conference Rooms. And as always, on all of our Friday specials, we have a special guest on here for you. But to get us going, Saba, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm super excited about our guest today because we actually had his business partner on. So I'm super excited to see what he has in store for us today.
Yeah, guys, we have 27-year-old Connor Gillivan on. He's a serial entrepreneur and an Amazon best-selling author, as well as FreeUp and the founder of FreeUp.com. And we actually had his co-founder on, Nate Hurst, on episode 24. So we'll start getting this episode going. But anyway, Connor, it was just a quick little intro about yourself. How are you doing today, and kind of expand upon that?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today. I figured this would be a great platform to share my story because if anyone had listened to Nate's podcast interview, they would have learned that we started our first business while we were in college. So this is a pretty awesome platform that you guys are putting on for college entrepreneurs. So I got my starting being an entrepreneur really from a pretty young age. So I started my first business landscaping while I was in high school. I had my first job was working with my cousin who had built his own business, and I loved the freedom that he had and how he was in complete control of his life. And so I kind of followed in his footsteps in high school, built my own business, found my own customers, and ran that while I was doing high school and then also on summer breaks in college. And then once I was in college, that was when I ran into Nate just in a very random opportunity. We were in the same business law class, and I kind of knew that he was getting his hands dirty with selling some books on Amazon.com. And so I just messaged him one day and told him that I was interested and looking for an opportunity to learn more and kind of get outside of just the education of school and kind of dive into being an entrepreneur. And so we kind of teamed up on this. We have some great stories that we can go through, but we teamed up on the business. We learned how to sell books on Amazon and then expanded into selling pretty much anything. We were selling baby products, toys, home goods, outdoor products, sports gear, you name it. We were probably selling it at one point. And after graduating college, we ended up building that business to do over $20 million in sales and had a team of around 60 people. So it was a pretty awesome experience. Definitely a lot to go through as a college student, but it taught us a lot that we now are implementing into our lives.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on Nate's episode over on episode 24, he talked a lot about your guys' dropshipping method. So to kind of get us going, since we don't want to repeat a little bit here, but talk about dropshipping a little bit more and dive into that, because I know Nate said, he goes, I thought I started this thing called dropshipping, but people are already doing it. But kind of get us talking about dropshipping, really how people can take, while they're in college, take a small little business, dropshipping business, and kind of expand it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who isn't familiar with the dropship business model, it's this idea of being able to sell products online without ever having to actually touch the products. So, let's say that the easiest example of how I like to explain to people is, let's say you went to Amazon.com and you were searching for, I have a mouse, a computer mouse that's right in front of me. I'm searching for a mouse and I pull it up and I go ahead and I purchase it. So on the back end, that's going to come to the person who's selling that product. And drop shipping is where that person doesn't actually have the product. They have a relationship with the person who makes that mouse. They tell that person and the supplier then ships it right to the customer. So this model allows you to have inventory online without actually holding it, which gives you a great opportunity to test different products. So as we were doing it in college, and it can still be done today through either Amazon, your own Shopify store, or eBay as well. You can go out and find different suppliers or people who are making these products, whether they be branded or you want to brand them yourselves. and you can go ahead and toss them up to a marketplace like I said, Amazon, eBay, or your own Shopify store. Start listing them, pricing them, and as you get orders, you shoot an email out to the person who's making it, and they'll send it to your customer. So it's a great way to kind of get into business. It doesn't take a lot of money up front to get going, and you can learn a lot about how online retail works.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Connor, kind of shifting gears now. So you did that while you were in college, you graduated. So how did you actually found like FreeUp? Can you kind of tell us about what your company is and how that really came to be?
Yeah, of course. So with Portlight, the first business that we started in college, when we graduated, we committed ourselves to it full time. And one of the biggest points I think that most entrepreneurs run into is that they end up having too many things on their plate, right? You guys probably already know this. And the best entrepreneurs, personally, I think they find other people to bring onto their team to help them achieve what they want to do. And so for us, as we were building Portlight, we ended up learning a little bit about outsourcing. And so we were hiring people from what used to be odesk.com. It's now upwork.com, where you can go and search for freelancers around the world and then hire them. We were hiring a lot of these people to help us run the company. And at a certain point, we had around 30 people, but it took us a lot of trial and error to find the right person, and posting a lot of jobs and going through the interview process and figuring out what the right fit was. And so after going through all of those experiences and almost becoming experts at hiring, we came to the conclusion that we didn't love the solutions that were out there because of the time it took to actually post the job and interview. That can take up hours of your day when you're trying to hire people on a regular basis. And so we wanted to create a new platform specifically for e-commerce businesses, because that's where our expertise was, and make a platform where it was a lot simpler. So as a business owner, you could come to freeup.com. You can create an account very easily. We have a very simple 10 to 15 question form that you fill out explaining exactly what worker you need. So let's say you guys needed someone to help you, manage this podcast. You would go in and say you needed this person. You want to pay $10 to $15 an hour. You would like them to be located in the United States, and other preferences that you have about communication and things along those lines. That then comes into us at FreeUp. We find the best person in our network, and this network of freelancers are people that we've already interviewed and put through a pre-vetting process, and then we just introduce them to you. And it usually happens within a couple hours to a couple days. So that process of hiring someone and finding a good person that can help you grow your business becomes a lot easier. And that's really what we've created with FreeUp and what I'm working on mostly today.
So then, Connor, what is kind of pretty much your position over at FreeUp, and how have you been able to create a team around you to really grow your business?
Great question. So I'm the Chief Marketing Officer with FreeUp. It just so worked out that Nate and I have pretty differing skills. So we kind of put him more in the CEO light and me in more in the creative position with the CMO. And over the first year or so, it was a lot of building systems and processes. I think that's one of the most important things as you're starting a business, is figuring out what tasks or what jobs or what teams you need to be running in order to be successful. And so I ended up setting all those up in the first 6 months to a year. And then just in January of this year, Nate and I really focused on building a team around us. So today I have a team of about, I think, around 6 or 7 people that are helping me run the different marketing and advertising initiatives of FreeUp. So I have someone that's helping me run the FreeUp blog. We have a weekly video series that I have someone helping me editing the videos, putting overlays on them, making sure that everything's going well. I have someone that's helping me run our social media channels so that we're always keeping up to date with everything. I have another person that's an expert in Facebook ads, and she's optimizing our Facebook ads, picking new audiences, and making sure that we're optimizing our spending there. And then we also use a software called ClickFunnels to bring people in and try to get them interested more in the business. So I have someone who's specializing in that too. And on top of that, there's just other assistants that help with handling emails and doing other miscellaneous tasks on a day-to-day basis.
And then just a quick follow-up question there. That's really cool. Building up a team around you is definitely really important once you get big enough, because you sometimes, like you said, you need to outsource different jobs, and it's exactly, you guys understand that. Now, I guess it's a two-part question here. Do you guys use the freelancers you have, or did you bring a team in, of separate that are full-time employees? And then are those full-time employees located around the US, or do you have a specific office everyone works out of?
For sure. So we operate as a completely remote company, and all of the people on our team come through our network as well. So some of them we've taken on full time, and some are located in the US, some are located overseas, in the Philippines or in India. And then some are only working with us on a part-time basis within their specialty, and then they're also working with our clients in the network. So it kind of varies.
That's awesome. So, Connor, I know recently you just actually wrote a book about FreeUp and actually hit Amazon bestseller. So, congratulations on that. But I kind of want to know why you decided to write a book about your company.
For sure. So, like you said, the book is called Free Up Your Business, and the subtitle is 50 Secrets to Bootstrap $1 Million Companies. And so the book is all about the experiences that I've really been talking to you about today. So Nate and I, built this first business. We learned a lot from it. We failed a lot. And then we went ahead and built Free Up, and we're continuing to grow that today. And the major reason that we decided to write the book was it was a big idea that him and I had for the past 2 years or so, and we were talking about it and trying to figure out the right time. And it just so worked out that we have a pretty big community now on FreeUp, around 1,500 clients and close to 500 workers. So a good amount of people who are always looking to us for new advice and new content. And writing a book and being able to release that to them and give them advice and offer it to other people that are interested in the business, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to put that out there so they could have it. And then we could also spread it to other communities as well, of people interested in starting their own business and learning a lot about outsourcing and delegating work.
So when you were writing the book, did you have intentions of going into becoming an Amazon bestseller? Or were you just, going to put it out there and then tell people about it? Or did you have a full strategy to market the book as well?
For sure. So we did go into it with the goal of becoming a bestseller on Amazon. It was something that as we started to talk about writing the book and getting into the process of it, I ended up taking some time to speak with other people who had written books before. It's a common trend I like to do in getting into new things is, find other people who have done it and learn from their successes. So I spoke with a lot of people about the strategies you can take to get that #1 bestseller on Amazon. And we implemented that after writing the book. And that's something that I was focusing on over the past month or so, was putting together a pretty large marketing campaign where we were bringing together all of our clients, our workers, our partners, and making sure that on the day that the book's launched and, in this next week as well, we're keeping people engaged and we're making sure that they know about the book and they know where they can get it and how it's helping us to grow as a company.
It's really cool. I mean, we actually have on part of my team, Salva Ali over here is a Amazon bestseller herself. She actually recently just became an Amazon bestseller with her book. So
that's awesome.
Now, are you using the book as, this is where I kind of go into my digital marketing phase, and I know a lot about Facebook ads and ClickFunnels and all that. Cool. So are you using the book as a tool in order to get people to look into your business more? Or are you using it as Russell Brunson would do, a free shipping deal, or not a shipping deal, a free book plus shipping deal or something like that? Or are you kind of using the book as its own little segue to do something else with?
Yeah, great question. So those are kind of strategies that I'm exploring right now, figuring out the best way once it's launched to continue to get consistent sales. Because the goal of the book is to expose our business to more people, add value to their lives as entrepreneurs, and also get them to start thinking about, how can I build a team around me? How can I start to delegate things off of my plate? Because those are really the core characteristics of the people that FreeUp works best with. Because when they want to do that, FreeUp makes their lives a lot easier. And a lot of the principles within the book talk straight to that. So definitely using it as a resource to reach new clients and to educate new people about the company. And in terms of the specific sales strategies, we're still kind of figuring those out, the best way to bring people in and show the value of the book, but also, make a little money and make it a good investment for the company.
So just out of curiosity, how long did it take you to write the book? Because I know I put a time frame of 30 days of writing my book, but did you have a specific time frame that you want to do it in, or did you just write it and then once it was done, you put it up on Amazon?
Yeah, great question. It took me about It took about 4 months of writing, 4 to 5 months, and the way that we broke it down was each Friday of every week I spent about 4 to 5 hours of writing. We structured it that way because we started off in the first few weeks where I was just finding time and blocks of time within the daily week and kind of writing then, but we found that it wasn't that effective because you have a lot of other things going on. It's hard to get into a headspace where you're just writing and creating good content. And so we created this every Friday. I would just be focused on the book, and that's really what we stuck to for about 3 to 4 months, I would say. So that's about how long it took to write the book.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's sometimes really hard to curate good content. I mean, I was blogging for a while, and then I got really busy, like just doing a lot of different things going on in my life. I haven't been able to blog recently, but yeah, I mean, I could understand that 100%, just being able to sit down, like give some time to yourself and think of some good content when you want to add value to people's lives. So
For sure.
now in Free Up, how fast are you guys kind of going back to the business side of it all? How fast are you guys growing? How many new clients do you take on a day? How many people are traveling to your site? Like, how big is Free Up getting these days?
Yeah, good question. So right now, the business, just as a little background, the business was started in the fall of 2015. So we're about a year and a half old now. A lot of the first year was really figuring things out and just getting things under control. This year we are on pace to do around $3-4 million in sales. Like I said, we have around 1,500 clients actually signed up to the platform. On a weekly basis, we'll bill around 5,000 to 6,000 hours to those clients, and to the workers. And yeah, what else was there about that?
Basically just kind of like wondering how fast it was growing and how big you guys are. Are you guys just planning to grow it as big as possible pretty much? Or do you think you guys will eventually cap it on anywhere when dealing with people, just because sometimes as you're growing, it might get too big and all those other problems might incur with it? Or are your guys' plans just tear shit up and go with it?
Yeah, for sure. So we have been growing extremely rapidly since we started, which has been awesome to see. People are just loving the idea. And our goal is really to just keep growing very consistently. We don't have any set goal or set idea of where we would stop. Both of us are pretty ambitious. We like to build businesses up as large as they can get and kind of see what happens. But I think the most important thing to us is make sure that we stay true to our core and what really makes the experience great for people. Our customers love us because we're very hands-on, so they always have someone to speak with, and they know that we'll take care of them. And then they also love that they can request a worker very easily and get it very quickly, and that worker is of very high quality. So I would say we're going to try to build a business as large as possible, but never let go of those core values, because that could be what ended up with us crumbling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait to see that happen. But Connor, what's a favorite quote that you really live by day to day?
Definitely. So my favorite quote is inspired by Nelson Mandela. In college, I spent 2 summers in South Africa and got to know a lot about the country, a lot about the people there. And so the quote goes, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And so that quote really inspires me each day, because as an entrepreneur, you're always working towards some future that you're not sure if you're going to be able to reach, and you're always going to hit setbacks along the way. But that quote really shows resilience to me, right? So it always seems impossible until it's done. You're always working towards something. You're not sure if you're ever going to be able to get there, but if you just keep pushing, it will actually happen. So I love that quote, and it really inspires me.
And then Connor, just kind of wrapping some things up here, what are some final words you would love to tell our young audience of college entrepreneurs and early millennials just like yourself, as well as where they could find more information about you and your company?
For sure. So I think for anyone in college who's interested in starting a business, my advice would be a couple pieces, right? So one is find a mentor. So find someone else who is doing something that you would like to do and learn from them. Try to ask questions and engage where they had problems and what struggles they had, so that you can take that advice and apply it to your own. A second piece of advice would be just get ready to work really hard. College is a great time, and you have a lot of free time, but when you're an entrepreneur, you need to be using every single minute, every single day as another opportunity to push your company forward. So if you want to take that life of an entrepreneur, you have to be ready to work really hard and really get into the hustling mindset. And then finally, just another piece of advice is make sure that as you're building your business, you figure out how to make a positive cash flow as you're getting started. I think that's one of the harder things, and a lot of what young entrepreneurs hear about in this world is the idea of, raising funding and getting money to do your project. That's a really hard thing to do. And so I would encourage people as they're getting started with a business is to bootstrap as long as you can. Try to create a really good business that people are attracted to and where you're adding true value. And then at a certain point, if it makes sense, sure, go out and try to get some money to take it to the next level. But start off by really just hustling and bootstrapping. And just to kind of close it all off, like you said, you can find me on, I'm most active on Facebook and Twitter. You can find me, my handle is just @Connor Gillivan. You can also read on my blog, connorgillivan.com, about starting e-commerce businesses. You can read about dropshipping and the experiences that I've had running these two businesses. And then you can, of course, find me at freeup.com. That's with 3 E's, so FREEE up.com. And then you can also find my book, Free Up Your Business, on Amazon. If you just go to Amazon and type in Free Up Your Business, it should be one of the top results. And you can grab it there for only 99 cents as the ebook and then $9.99 for the paperback.
Connor, thank you so much for coming on. You added a lot of value to our listeners about e-commerce businesses and just about getting started and growing a business in general that a lot of young entrepreneurs don't really understand how to get growing and how you should really expand. But businesses like yourself really make it possible for us. And as well, guys, go check out Connor Gillivan's website. We'll definitely be posting a couple of the links in the show notes here so everyone can get a hold of either his book or check out, just his business site or anything like that. Like I said, find him at connorgillivan.com, and you can find us at dr2cr.com. Saba, what are some final words?
Thank you so much, Connor, for coming on today. And like what you heard, just go check out his new book, Free Up Your Business, and we'll have all of the links on our show notes. But thank you guys so much for listening today on Dorm Rooms to Conference Rooms.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dorm Rooms to Conference Rooms. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you haven't joined our accelerator program yet, you can find that at livetogrind.com/college, where we connect you with today's latest influencers and experts in their fields.